and CDS, even they, few will get through it, few will not get through it. We have officers in the army who have given it like 3 attempts and 4 attempts, and they have shown a lot of perseverance and they have got through. If you have it in you, you will be able to. They will crack it. You don't have to pose for them. You have to be just yourself because they're looking to mold you. So you don't have to go all out to prove yourself. They themselves are looking at. There are amazing psychologists and amazing board of members sitting there to evaluate you.
Hello, you're watching Oneindia, and this is Never Say Die 2.0, a show where we speak to women in the armed forces and learn about their journeys. On the show today, I have a guest who's taken a rather unusual choice in life after her military service. So stay tuned to know how one can have a cerebral pursuit as well as a creative pursuit and be able to follow both in life. From Captain Sumisha Shankar, welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you, Deepavali. Thanks for having me on the show.
Ma'am, before I come to your current profession, I want to know what inspired you to join the army.
I have always been an NCC cadet. I was a junior wing best cadet for Republic Day camp. And then I'm a C certificate holder in NCC. And that gave me an impetus to join the army. Of course, my mother is the brain behind me joining the army. She always encouraged me. So I was fortunate enough to be backed up by my mother. So yes, these were the two.
I would say. Okay, isn't it? It would be a little unusual for parents to encourage their daughters to join the army. I would say, from what I've heard. So how was your mother so different?
So everybody has a different life story. My mother is a very strict disciplinarian. Like she comes from a Brahminical patriarchal family. So she gave us a lot of encouragement and she gave it all for us to kind of, pave the way. So yes, I was not fighting the same battle as my mother was fighting, but then yes, she gave us the backup.
So, ma'am, before joining the army, of course, the path to get there also is tough. The exams are tough. How did you prepare for it? Did you already have somebody to guide you? Did you have a background in the army? How did you prepare?
When we were joining in, like now it's ancient, like 2003. So it was just I think top 50 were being selected in the merit list. So there were no exams. The serious exams which followed after 2 years was not there. But then the SSB interview for 5 days was there. So I had this acquaintance of uncle called, like he was a colonel. So I went and asked him what to do. So my entire personality was already being groomed, which I was not knowing. Like NCC grooms you, and I am from Miranda House, Delhi University. So it actually groomed me to become a leader. So everybody who is planning to join army should know that there are 15 qualities what they're looking for. The psychologist assess you. For us, it was a 5-day interview. And for those 5 days, you undergo a series of tests, a series of interviews, and then the merit list comes in. The only thing my colonel uncle told me that whatever you are, be genuine, be real, be confident, and be positive. So yes, those were the 4 things. He said you need to be positive, and for every psychological test they take, they're looking at people who can be taking quick decisions, and they're good leadership material. They can be molded into good leaders. So I think the range of women who join the army is quite humongous. Like there are many kinds, many surnames which you have never heard. And in my batch, I'm very, very fortunate that we were different girls joining from different parts and different smallest hamlets of India joining it together. So yes, SSB is the thing which we need to crack.
Okay. So now if we talk about your training days, ma'am, what were they like? Did you ever face any challenges that forced you to, rise above them, of course, or any anecdote you remember from your training days where, even camaraderie between the women officers, anything you would like to narrate?
Yeah. So when now after so many years, we get to know that, like, we've been trained, the entire punishment which were given to us were the bonding factor. Like, I've never seen that kind of bonding outside in the civil streets. I have done a lot more courses once I have come out of it, but taking in punishments together, having a shared experience of marching in together on the tarmac, on the, like, on that sunny afternoon of Chennai, or in the night rolling down into the streets, I think we bonded together really well. And it is, in this entire thing, the entire thing is very tough. Like, it's tough, but then we are having our sweet time in between. Like, it's not tough, it's tough, but then not everybody's serious, because like people like us, we used to wake up late. There were like seniors who used to come in and who were waking up at 4 a.m. We were waking up at 15 a.m., just 15 minutes before the assembly. So they were like fun times, and we were all having a lot of togetherness. And yes, we were not, see, I had never ran in my life. Like, I was not an athletic material.
Mhm.
I was into a choreography team before I joined army. So I had never, like, I had never even walked even. So once I reached there, I had to run, I had to do swimming, I had to, like, jump. So there were very new things happening. So we were all pushing each other. And the thing is that at the end of the day, sometimes you get like a kick on your back, and then you're like, oh, I can do this. So everything we saw, like, a little bit of sweetness, a little of bitterness, but then yes, it really worked well for a young mind, like, because we're very, like, everybody is like very raw and very young. So we had like a plenty of good time, but the lady officers are far more disciplined than gentlemen officers.
Okay.
Yeah, as a group, the dynamics, no?
All
Like, the
right.
fire drill happens, the firefighting drill would happen. So we all, some 15 minutes before, and the gentlemen officers will come. Oh, you guys are running, and they're in their, like, house coats. Oh, we have to go for the firefighting. So in all, they were like much more like rule breakers than us. So as a women, I have seen the dynamics, like, they were much more disciplined lot. So yes,
So
this
in
was
a
fun.
way, the women officers inspired the male officers.
Yeah, the dynamics are different. Nobody can inspire them in the academy. Everybody is like, everybody's looking the same. So when we joined, we're all like fair color and everything. We look like women, but then after 2 days, everybody's having like a small haircut, and everybody's like pitch black. Within 2 days, everybody's black, and the clothing is not like very, like your women. So you will have the same uniforms, and also we will almost look like, if I show you my pictures, and you will look like, oh, they're like young boys only. Yes.
All right. So, ma'am, if I can come to your current profession right now, you are, let me share with the viewers, you are a movement and art-based therapist, a yoga instructor, and a meditation facilitator. I'm curious to know, ma'am, when did you develop a leaning for these? And also, do you think that if the military includes some activities that allow one to have creative expression, then the people there would benefit from it?
Yes. Like, the first part of the question is that I have developed it over years. Like, I have been into the art world since I was a child. And from performing arts to using art for healing has been my journey. So it's a very beautiful way to kind of, mold your personality. It's an experiential tool. For example, Deepavali wants to become like a good leader, or she wants to join army. So how do I do it? So how do I increase the potency in your personality? So I'll make you do a few things which will increase your personality from inside out. So yeah, art-based tools provide a lot of window to our human ego to develop, to surrender. So yeah, it's a very beautiful journey. I got inspired when I worked in the Arthur Road and Baikula jail of Mumbai. I saw the prisoners transforming before me, and I very innocently had used dance, music, theater. This was my background. I was always dancing in the army also. I was always doing all these things. So we are called Bhan Party in the army, and it's a and people who are creative, people who dance, please already know that you will be signaled out, but then it's okay. Being a woman also, you would be signaled out. It's okay. And but then I was good with my studies. I was good with my courses. I was good with my things. So it's a double work, but then it's a double whammy because it becomes a little difficult to it's a stereotype, right? Like everybody wants stereotypical images. So yeah, so that art-based therapy. Now I kept on studying. So I did. So from there, when I studied yoga, so I thought it was all about asanas, but yoga is a very very amazing psychology. So this was my area of interest. So I was a very avid novel reader. So last one, I was reading the Pulitzer Prize winners and everything, like, all the thing. Now, if you look at it, I only read research papers and all. So I have that side to me where I read a lot of things in order to figure out what is the ballpark figure. So yes, so and in today's world, these creative expressions hold a lot of water because it's very difficult to communicate our inner feelings. And emotional well-being stands true in today's situation going forward. So in order to assess what's happening with you, in order to assess how do I, what do you call it, decompress, how do I open my heart? So like spiritual talks also can become very philosophical through your mind. But when we do something from our hands, like creative writing, creative painting, creative movement, creative expression, gibberish, anything, it allows us to vent out a lot of pain, a lot of anger, a lot of human emotions. And 99% of our emotions, human communication is emotional. So 1% is verbal. So you can imagine like the length and the breadth of its importance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And second part for the Indian Army, yes, it is. It is very, very important because we need to have positive psychology tools, and art needs to be now stitched in because it's a very fundamental aspect of our being human. And in our society, in a capitalistic society, art has no value. So in my classes, people who come and draw, they have drawn almost after 25 years. People have together after 30 years. So it has taken them, and it's for free, everything. Like everything is therapeutic. As a therapist, we work on the strict guidelines. We have much more training, but then just doing art can be very therapeutic. So that importance of doing art, the way we play cricket, the way we play, it's like playing. We need to play as human beings, and that we have stopped. So that's why I love art, because it also connects you to Mother Nature.
Yes.
And how will you gain strength, and how will you, when you're exhausted, how will you rejuvenate? So the hows and the whys are here, and I work on that. All the traditional positive trainings or training of subconscious mind, switching of parasympathetic nervous system, or working on your body and mind integration, everything is being done by all the trainers and the coaches. Art being very fundamental, it includes everything. It subsumes beauty, it subsumes ethics when we start looking from an Indian classical perspective. So yes, my entire effort is to bring the Indian classical wisdom in an applicable format. So that is my journey.
Okay, great to know that. Ma'am, you just spoke about how because of your interests in creativity, interests in dance, you would keep dancing in the army. That way you would stand out. I'm sure there were other people like you also, but then you're the rarer breed. in the army, at least. So how did you find the courage to stand out and still pursue those interests?
So the courage comes from your work, like how good you're with your work. So what I realized is that as a dancer, it will always be this question. So I stopped fighting. And in the Indian Army, one thing is very nice, that if you're a good officer and if you do a good job, eventually everybody starts loving you. So you can make your way to do extra stuff, and eventually you have your place. The troops are very cosmopolitan. Like if there are 6 officers and 200 troops or 400 troops, the soldiers are looking up to you, and they do not discriminate between a gentleman officer and a lady officer. You've got to be human with them. You've got to be really nice with them, because all the work is done by them. You are taking officer like decisions, you are taking care of them. But in that, if your ego rises, you're not ruling them. You are a part and parcel of their journey. So a humane approach really works.
You're an empathetic person, and that you would say has helped you be an officer as well.
See, the thing is that we all come from the same society. There are problems. I'm not saying it's like there are many policies which army is like too patriarchal, but then the fight is on. We have women who have permanent commission. There are both plus and minuses. Women are being inducted in the NDA, but then are we as a government agency looking at making cultural upliftment, which is alien word for India? Like you have to make space in the gentleman cadet's mind and everyone to have the lady officers in. So these ifs and buts would always be remain there. So for future male and female officers joining the army, we all come from the same society. So there is a lot of minus, bad things, ugly things going on. But then there are brilliant things going on. But then in comparison, there are amazing innocence also there, which your troops will provide, which a few of the amazing officers would provide. It's like saying you meet bad humans, you meet good humans, but then if you have a very, very beautiful attitude, you yourself will not become cynical, you will not burn out, you'll be able to fight back, and you will be able to be the person you want to be. Otherwise, it becomes, in the process, what happens, it becomes very, very difficult to be yourself. You're always fighting. So this I am all, and then there is a certain dignity of you being a lady officer, being with the troops, they are saluting you. So the kind of dress code you wear, the kind of demeanor you have, you can't help it. You can't really wear like a lot of fashionable clothes and keep walking into your, like, because men are saluting you. So let them have, there is a certain aesthetics and dignity to the work. And I think if you do it, you are treated like a princess. So yeah, it's a very, I saw my life like that. I was very, very, I had a lot of fun. Work will always remain there. There's a lot of work to be done, but I saw it from my lens. It was really different.
Okay. I just want to know, ma'am, during your service, did you find any specific challenges you had to meet because of your gender, and how did you tackle those?
Because of the gender, I told you it takes 153 milliseconds to stereotype. So yeah, you will face few officers who will come and discriminate you, but then there are few you will meet who will encourage you. The idea is to do your duties, and the idea is to stick on to do what you've got to do. And at times, that's what, like, some of the lady officers also take a lot of advantage of being the lady officer. So see, we all, if there are 100 lady officers, can you bet, like, just because we are females, everybody is like good at work? So that's what I'm trying to ask. Let's not make it a common noun. Like, there are, it's a workforce we are looking at. There will be few brilliant officers, there would be few average, there would be few who do not want to work, right? And it stands same for male and female. You cannot just let anybody walk over you. See, you are a commissioned officer from the army, so nobody can or nobody can exploit you. So you can speak up, you can stand up for yourself.
Ma'am, I would like to ask you, what message would you give to the youth who are aspiring to join the services now, girls and boys, since they'll be training together? NDA is open for them. Permanent commission has been granted to women.
So what they can do is that they can be really, really looking forward to do something really nice for the country and for themselves. And who are preparing for SSB and CDS, even few will get through it, few will not get through it, but then just preparing and facing SSB will also allow you to boost your confidence, will allow you to undergo a lot of, what do you call it, personality opening activities. So take it with a pinch of salt. You get through it, it's fine. You do not get through it, it's also fine. We have officers in the army who have given it like 3 attempts and 4 attempts, and they have shown a lot of perseverance and they have got through. So Indian Army, Indian Defense Forces, I'm looking at, like Air Force, Navy, and Army, they all are welcoming women and men. And if you're officer like quality, you can really join. Just be positive. Work on your leadership quality. Work on your on the overall personality of yours. Apart from the examination, what you have to do, you have to be really genuine there. And it was too smart so that you can just overrule the game, which many people can't. So my advice is to be genuine, work on yourself, work in your initial years in the college for leadership building. Like, joining army, joining NCC also will give a lot of brownie points. There is a certain kind of, I think, still you get a lot of points for that. Being good at studies will help you to crack the exams, and positivity really matters there. Yeah. So one of my seniors, he used to say they're looking at average people who can smile at under any circumstances.
Okay.
Because circumstances can be very different when you are up in the op area, up in the when the real crisis comes. So yeah, so that is the kind of you got to be inside out brave. That's it. And yeah, and if you have it in you, you will be able to. They will crack it. You don't have to pose for them. You have to be just yourself because they're looking to mold you. So you don't have to go all out to prove yourself. They themselves are looking at. There are amazing psychologists and amazing board of members sitting there to evaluate you. So yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and sharing your advice, ma'am. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dipali, and I hope that it helps. And
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, all the best, everyone. And yes, it's a grand job. It's a very good job, and go make the nation proud. And thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you, ma'am.